Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wine.com Experiences. I'm Gwendolyn Osborn. So excited to have you joining us today as we are talking to the one and only duo, which I guess means the two and only Ian Somerhalder and Paul Wesley. You may know them best for their 8 seasons starring as brothers Damon and Stefan Salvatore on the hit series Vampire Diaries. But these two gentlemen took their friendship and their brotherhood a little bit beyond the show and created the Brothers Bond Bourbon. And that is what we will be tasting and talking about today. For those of you who submitted questions ahead of time, thank you so much. There were some really great ones, and we are going to be trying to incorporate those into our conversation as we go along today. If you're lucky enough to have the bourbon on hand, wonderful, either from Wine.com or anywhere else, we are going to be sipping it neat, as well as crafting a cocktail together, the Mystic Charmer, a bit later in the show. But you are welcome to start sipping it in your glass whenever you see fit. If you don't have the bourbon on hand, you can still find it at Wine.com in select states. I know a lot of people had questions about its availability and where to find it. So yes, Wine.com has it, but due to state regulations, only in a few select states. You can also check out the Brothers Bond website for more options. They have a lot of information of how you can get your hands on this. And if you ever want to revisit this video, you can just find it on the Wine.com YouTube channel. We will have it there. So let's welcome our guests, Ian Somerhalder and Paul Wesley, co-founders of Brothers Bond Bourbon.
Yeah. Hello, Wine.com.
Hello. Welcome. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us here today, talking about bourbon, and of course, telling the story about it, because every great wine, great spirit has a great story. So we're excited to hear it.
Collar, baby. Pop it, baby. I'm
ready.
ready.
You ready? All right. So you played brothers on TV for 8 seasons. Obviously, you liked each other enough to then go into business together. So tell us a little bit about that path, that inspiration to get together and create a bourbon.
What were we thinking?
I don't know. Is it too late to take it all back?
Definitely.
It tastes too good. I'm sorry, you're stuck.
By the way, let's look at my hair in that shot.
Yeah, it was a great shot.
Right? That shot is the wardrobe. It's called
defying the laws of gravity. My God. It's the most, I've never seen just vertical hair in my life.
I actually love that scene because we were drinking from a flask of bourbon.
Yeah. Now, how did it start? I mean, Ian and I obviously played brothers, as you said, on screen, and we drank bourbon on screen. That was kind of something that we were known for. Damon would drink it like in the morning,
Literally 7 in the morning.
7 a.m. Yeah.
Such a lush.
Yeah. And long story short, we drank bourbon on screen, but we also drank bourbon off screen. We shot the show in the South in Georgia, and just sort of fell in love with the idea of getting together and bonding over bourbon after we would finish shooting, hanging out, weekends, whatever. Yep. And so this whole kind of brothers bond, the genesis was just incredibly organic. Made perfect sense.
I love that.
Honestly, just the 2-second addition to that is, I think you'd be hard pressed to find. Is everything okay?
Yeah. I just heard that.
I think you'd be hard pressed to find a ghost. The ghost of Brothers Bond. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a brand that ultimately has 13 years of IP built into it. And I say this in all humility. It's more of it's a huge honor, but this is one of the most watched shows in the world. And so it just gives you a little bit of an understanding of how many hearts, souls, and minds and households that it's been able to percolate through over these years. And by virtue of the fact, like what Paul said, is the boys bonded on screen over bourbon. Paul and I bonded off screen over bourbon. Paul likes to remind me that it was probably the only way that he could tolerate me, which I'm sure there's some truth to that. But
not probably.
Yeah, right. But I mean, but there's really authenticity there. Like, this is the most authentic thing we could have ever done. And it really is truly the true American spirit. And then we are ultimately living, I say this again in all humility, it's more of like we came from the ashes, but like we're living that American dream. Paul is first generation of immigrants who came to this country from Poland. I grew up in the deep, deep, deep South as like a, poor American family who worked hard to like stick together. And then together we came together literally shooting a TV show in Atlanta, Georgia, and brown spirits was what we bonded over. So we can only hope to give that experience to other people. And this is our baby. Like our soul is in this bottle, you know?
And that is where the name, obviously, I think you kind of just explained it, what that name is all about.
Yeah.
Is the bond.
Absolutely.
Bond. What about that label? The label is really, should I say cool? I don't know. It may be on cool, but that's the name of it. But like, it's so interesting. What is it?
We don't know. What is this?
Yeah, right.
We have no idea.
Actually, we just, by the way, we just won
Vampire. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, this is Tess and Bill's.
Yeah,
genius.
I was gonna say,
but we just won a bronze award for the label design. Yeah.
We have an amazing chief marketing officer who has a design studio, her and her husband. So
unbelievable.
So when Ian and I come up with abstract ideas, she knows how to put them on paper, so to speak,
and literally build it.
Yeah.
Digitally.
And so this, just for the, this is, you see the two boys sitting under the tree. I'm one of them. He's one of them. I don't know. We fight over who's who. I'll be on the right because that's where my signature is. And then above us is an oak tree, which we all know bourbon is aged in white oak, American oak. And
but it's also a grounding force.
Yeah.
It's like we wanted an organic force.
Yeah, grounding.
That grounds the boys and protects them, right? Gives them perspective, which is all what we can all only hope for.
And then you have, no, not at all. And then you have the grains, the mash bill, the corn, the wheat, the rye, the barley. And so you have the boys sitting under this great, gorgeous oak tree.
And then the birds signify sort of like nature and freedom and our commitment to biodiversity and the planet. And I think that Paul uses this word a lot, and it's true, which is escapism, like what our show was, right? But it creates a sort of calm sense of nostalgia. It's both inspirational and aspirational, because this is the one thing Paul and I talked about. Like, you come home after a long week and you're sitting there with a bottle of wine, right? Whether it's frosty and white or if it's red, and you're sitting there, it's really an intimate proximity. Very few things other than people that you really want close to you are this close to someone. And so we want that
escapism. Yeah. We want people to go, okay, cool. I've had a long day, or I'm going to hang out with my bud or my sister or my spouse, and I'm going to enjoy this together. It's a bonding experience
and
it's
feel inspired.
But yeah, form of escapism. But yeah, so everything you see, and we'll go through it. It's like the mash bill, the label, the bottle, the whole thing. It's like we designed this ourselves from the ground up. We didn't just slap our names on it.
I love that. I love how involved you've been. I also, your description there's some wineries that also do that, is that it's the full package. And we'll get to talking about the sensory experience. It also has to do with what you see and seeing that bottle and then connecting with that. And then eventually what is in it.
Right.
Which that's what we're going to talk about next, because I know you're both very involved in it. So tell us a little bit about that, the process, I guess, wherever you want to start, of just kind of that, the blending, everything that goes into it. What goes into this bourbon? Other than your heart and soul. Your heart and soul and all your energy.
Obviously, we're a very small team, but we're a very mighty team. It's not that we're not enthusiastic. We're so happily exhausted, which is in a great way, but like there is a tremendous amount of like formulation that goes into this. It starts with a flavor, and as we were, especially this 80 proof bourbon, we knew we needed two things. We knew we needed immediate approachability, and I'm talking like whether you are a Gen Z, well, obviously the tail end of Gen Z, right, 21 to 24. Millennial, or my 70-year-old mom or 80-year-old dad, that you can literally pour this out of a bottle into a glass and drink it. We knew we needed that, but we also needed a complexity that even the snootiest, bootiest bourbon drinker can sip this.
Bootiest?
Whatever. It rhymed.
New word.
Cody and I rhyme a lot, so I just start rhyming everything now. But that complexity, you have to have that nuance. And we knew we needed what, obviously it's not just, we didn't coin this, it's a normal phrase, but we wanted equal sensory proportion. And people said, well, what is that? That is the idea that all of those grains, all 4 of those grains, because we blend 3 grain bourbons to get 1 4-grain bourbon. Paul and I blended this literally in my kitchen for over a year, but equal sensory proportion means all of those grains are expressed over your palate, but in total balance and harmony. I'm not trying to sound too kumbaya about it. That's literally what it is. So you get all those grains. High rye, it's got to be balanced out by the sweetness of corn, and then the smaller grains. But like, for instance, Paul and I spent 6 months just adjusting wheat and barley. That's why we kind of keep it as a sort of family secret.
And like everything we do, we'll get into like some further, I'm sure you'll ask about like, what we have coming down the pipeline in terms of SKUs and stuff like that. But like everything we do is going to have the DNA of Brothers Bond, because we're so proud of it. And Ian and I have fortunately, we have a very, very similar palate. So, there wasn't a lot of like, when we knew we had it, we had this like eureka moment. We were like, oh my God, like we have it. This is it.
It was pretty.
Look at my Zoolander face.
Yeah, I was doing that.
I was blue stealing like
crazy. Can you only turn left?
I can only turn left. It's something I've been working on for 39 years.
But Paul said something really important, and this actually came from Vincent Hanna, our CEO, literally many moons ago, which is, because this bourbon is so special and so yummy, anything that we do, any age statement, any ABV change, anything has the same DNA, because like a family, families have what? They have the same DNA. It's just a little different, right? It's each member of that family. So it's not just this, it's the other line extensions and age statements and stuff that we have coming down the pipeline, which is.
Yeah. And for those who are in wine, it's kind of like the vintage. Each, for certain times they do consistency in vintage, but and I don't think people always know how much goes into that. It's really hard to taste separate things and understand how they might work together. And the fact that this is new for you guys and you jumped right into it, that's fantastic. So you're in this venture, and it's been going on, you said 13 years when you started?
Well, you mean bourbon? We've been talking about this bourbon company for actually now well over a decade. But the show started 13 years ago. We were shooting the pilot right now 13 years ago.
Are you serious?
Dude, it's 22. That was 09.
Where does the time go?
That's why your jeans are so baggy.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. And baggy jeans are coming back now.
Yeah,
so they're gonna, because I have younger sisters, and they're like, why are your jeans so tight? And I'm like, it's reversing, right? So you just wait, you'll watch the Vampire Diaries probably, like, they're hip. They were hip. They were ahead of their time.
In 09.
Absolutely.
But it's Paul and I were literally just talking about this actually last night with Nate Gannon, our buddy Nate. 13 years is a long time to be working together, but we started talking about this over 10 years ago. This bourbon brand, a decade, is such an amazingly long time to dream and ideate. And it's the joke of like, it takes 10 years to become an overnight success. And we are, we're the fastest growing bourbon in this country, and we are proud of that. And we will never stop innovating. But 10 years is a long time to be thinking about something and creating it in our heads. And now it also takes a tremendous amount of patience. This takes 4 years and 1 day to get. And I don't think what people realize about the bourbon business, as opposed to like a white spirit business, it's not only insanely capital intensive, but it takes a long time. 4 years is a long time to wait. So, business is business, right? But if anyone knew the tens of thousands of hours that go into this, and literally the tens of millions of dollars it costs to produce this, their minds would blow. And that's like, we've always lived with a lot of pressure on our shoulders, because having a hit TV show, there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, and the numbers are bananas. But now doing this together, it's a dream. It's literally, I can't say anything else. It's a dream. It's really intense and amazing, but it's a dream.
That's fantastic. So I think we should start tasting it now, right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
I've been tasting it for the last 2 hours.
I'm sure hopefully a lot of people at home have also been doing the same.
Yeah, liquid to lips, right?
Liquid to lips. But you were talking about that sensory experience that equal sensory proportion, which, like you said, is balance. I mean, wine looks for balance. My father always tells me the secret to life is balance. So we're going to look into this and just kind of talk us through your tasting method, if you will, or process as you go through it, what you're looking for, what we should look for, what we should expect. We've got our little tasting glass.
Sure.
Balance is important. Balance and quality, right?
Mhm.
And I think that's one of those things that
Well, let's talk through the notes.
to anyone, just getting this. So check this out. So on the nose, right? The further out you are, obviously,
Mhm.
the lighter notes you're going to get. So more like floral, right? More floral notes. Now, as you come down deeper into the glass, you're going to get those heavier notes, orange peel, warm baking spice. And one thing that people
banana bread.
People literally go, wait, hold on. Smell it. It's like baked banana bread, literally like grandma made, right? We knew, and we worked so hard for this on the nose. Immediately, this is going to be good, right? You can only hope, when you have a sip of bourbon or wine, the nose is great, but the mouth experience doesn't follow that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not that. So now you've got those dark, deeper notes. Now let's have a sip. Take a small sip, but a big enough sip where you can really move it around your palate, really mix it up, get it in there, even almost like mouthwash, right?
I always tell people not to do that when they're at like somebody's dinner party, but it is the best way to taste it.
Now, all of those grains. And now about right now, that warm spice is going to start going down and it gets a little sweeter. Feel that? Boom.
Yeah.
But stick your tongue in the roof of your mouth. Everyone, you get that little kind of like almost red hots, like light red hots.
Light red hot. I love that.
So that's that rye. That's that.
But it does have a little bit of a burn. And then there's that, you mentioned that, I mean, the banana bread was the funnest thing for me when I was reading the tasting notes before this and getting that through it for all those warm spices and just the bakedness, the bakes, the vanilla, the everything. And then almost like a walnut character also. It was just all, but like you said, together, when you bake that bread, they're all integrated. And this is just so well integrated.
But again, and this, we were fortunate enough to work with one of the more famous master blenders in the world who will unfortunately go unnamed for now. But when we finally got this blend, and Paul and I were literally like, it was a real eureka moment. We were almost in tears in a way, which he said, gentlemen, congratulations, you have your bourbon. He said, the good thing about your bourbon, it is an incredibly complex bourbon. The bad thing about your bourbon is that it is an incredibly complex bourbon. Mm-hmm. This is not something, it's complex. So it's difficult to make sure that it's this way, which is why we never blend more than about 135 barrels at a time. Anywhere between 7,300 to 7,500 cases at a time, never more than that. So it is technically small batch. It's craft, but it's scale, right? So that allows us as a team to make sure quality is there with every single batch. So we never go above that, which is important because things change. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, or let me rephrase that, can change. And so to keep this consistency is a little wild. And that banana bread on the nose, at 4 years and 1 day, we pull this out of a barrel because at 4 years and 60 days, it changes a little bit. You start to lose that exact note. And so we get it out of the barrel. It's pretty wild. It's science.
And do you ever add, do you drink it over ice or water, or do you like it neat?
We don't, I certainly, this is an 80 proof, which is, on the lower end in terms of ABV. for bourbons. And so I certainly don't recommend cutting it with water. You could if you wanted to, but I love putting a rock in there. I love putting an ice cube in there. I like it to melt slowly. I personally love when my bourbon's like a little bit chilled. You know, I mean, there's different ways to do it. The real sort of purists will drink it like this,
Right.
But you know, there's no right or wrong way to drink bourbon. And the bottom line is it's great in cocktails too, you know, and so I think it's really about your palate and how you want to enjoy it. But if if you want to do it the purest, if you really want to taste what we created in its purest form, it would be this, you know, and
also too, to anyone sipping at home, you know, you can really, if you're drinking it neat, it's not going to hurt you, right? It's not, that burn is not so intense. You can really just mix it into your mouth, really roll it over your tongue, mix it with your saliva and your, like, just let it go for a while. That heat will actually dissipate and you're going to get all those flavors. One other little trick is, of course, you could put a tiny bit of water in there and open it up. Another thing is, if you ever want to go really deep, you can then, what we do in tastings too, is you can go equal parts water to bourbon and you'll smell different note. Now, mind you, you're not going to want to really drink it, but when you do taste it, you'll get a whole separate set of flavors. You're going to then taste like toasted almond. You're going to taste like a little honeysuckle or jasmine. You're going to go, wow, wait, is that peach? Is that jasmine? It really changes. And so you can really kind of play around with it. Obviously, we've gone through.
And like the higher, you know, the other, you know, like our rye, which isn't out yet, like that's something that maybe you do want to cut. I mean, it's amazing. And I you know, but you know, because it's a higher proof, you know,
92 proof.
It's a 92 proof.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
But you can actually, our rye, which we were doing, you can literally still sip this at 92. You can sip our rye at 94 proof. You can literally sip it. We were doing it last night.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And you're still here today. So that's a good sign.
A little too well.
But that's what it's about, right? It's like creating experience. And anyone can argue with you and say, well, you didn't do this. Well, you didn't do that. And you say, hey, totally respect where you're coming from. This is our palate. At the end of the day, if you were coming over to our house, Paul.
Our house.
Our house is actually who does all of our furniture. We haven't.
That's right.
It's like those are our
Side
people.
note, yeah.
But that is, if you were coming here to be with us, this is what we would serve you, because this is what we love.
It's what we like, and that's what this is. It's not about, you know, trying to be anything other than this is what we like, and we hope you enjoy it too.
Now, everybody, go back just really quickly. Go back to the nose.
By the way, if we're talking too much, please interrupt us and tell us we need to move along.
No, that means I don't have to talk too much. It's great. Nobody really wants to hear me. I love this.
Of course they do. But do you smell now the nose? Now you really are getting that banana and baking spice, and that bouquet is totally different. It's less orange peel and more like orange oil on your hands, but more from a little bit of a distance. Like there's a lot, it's mellowing, and it's just simply, it's irresistible. That's, and not to sound like a goofball, that's what we were working toward.
I think you're right. And I love what I'm very impressed. Like, you obviously put so much, you know, you already have a career. So putting so much effort to make sure this is authentic and knowing what you're doing and learning all the steps, because it's challenging, to say the least, to create something, and really kind of putting your passion behind it to make it just truly authentic. And so complex.
We're kind of obsessed. Yeah,
we're totally obsessed.
Yeah, we're geeks about this.
And it is amazing. You know, another thing, really a very quick side note, I know we've got to move on, but the other thing about distilling bourbon is a very incredible, intense, scientific, artful thing. But one of the greatest things about whiskey, bourbon in particular, the art is in blending. And the art really comes into the blending process. And one of the crazy things about it is that, I mean, look, there's a million ways that you can go, right? But to be able to create something for experience, for palate. Knowing again that the ethos of our company is to bring people together. And even like look at in Africa, right? Even the greatest enemies of the savannah will come together over the watering hole, right? Mm-hmm. Peace is made at the table. And so to bring friends and families together, knowing that our bourbon is there at that table, is a really special gift, And so we take that very seriously. And so that's why we're excited to release. We have our cask strength coming, which is this at 100 and something proof,
117.
117, 116.8 to 118 is what it ranges from.
So I'll be using a giant cube for that one, ice cube.
Yeah.
I'm sipping that just, to keep you right straight up. Yeah. So you've got the rye coming, you've got that coming. But we're going to make a cocktail. So
let's do it.
First live cocktail making for me. So we'll see how this goes. But we're preparing the Mystic Charmer. Tell us what's in the cocktail and what's behind the name.
So Mystic Charmer is like one of my favorites on our, if you go on brothersbondbourbon.com, you'll see all our cocktail recipes. But one of my favorites, it's one of these drinks that you can have any time of the year. And it's so refreshing. And honestly, it's almost too good because next thing you know, you've had a few and I've done it, and so has my mom, for example.
Exactly.
And these are just so delicious, and again, like you could have it in the summer, you could have it in the winter. It's just refreshing. And you see the ingredients there. It's obviously you have an ounce and a half of Brothers Bond bourbon and half an ounce of lemon juice, half an ounce of honey syrup, which is equal parts honey and water.
But talk about that for 2 seconds. Instead of just simple syrup, it really lends itself to, it's worth the work, right?
Yeah, it's not even that much work.
It's not, you got to let it cool and you have to be patient. But that honey syrup really changes.
Well, because honey doesn't mix well, right? Because it's too, viscous.
So you have to have hot water. So I'll tell you, I cheated because I made one drink for my sister earlier, who finished it very quickly. And I'm making one for me. So this is such a cheat, but I just microwaved water and then put the honey in and stirred it. I didn't want any pans. I didn't want to have to deal with it.
Takes 2 seconds.
It's not that hard. Yeah.
No, not at all.
It's really
it makes all the difference. It's just so much better and natural and yada yada.
Yeah.
And also too, I just want to say, it's also a larger format, right? Like it's a bigger format. Like Paul was saying, in the summer, this is a fun, refreshing drink. Dinner party, pool party, whatever that is, and it's a lot of fun. In the wintertime too, around the campfire or outside, whether you're skiing, you're in the snow, you're holding it as a large format. So you're not holding a cold cocktail. You're actually, it's pretty great. You can hold it with gloves, which I've done now many times mountainside. So let's do it. So check this out. So
here, I'll let you.
The last thing I'll say about this cocktail was that when we finished this cocktail, we ran the, first of all, we were able to work with one of the greatest mixologists on the planet. But when we finished this cocktail, what the hell are we going to name this? We, believe it or not, ran this through a name generator and it came up with Mystic Charmer. Now, obviously, Mystic Falls is the fictional town in which Vampire Diaries took place, where we basically lived for 8 years. So that was a big aha, eureka, like this is our drink. Okay. Here we go.
I thought you totally named it from that. That's so interesting.
No,
it was accidental. Obviously we recognized it and said, yeah, that's a good name, but it was accidental.
It was literally accidental. I mean, it is crazy. So, where we go? There we go. So, Mystic Charmer. We're obviously going to make it for 2.
You could just make one if you want.
I might make mine for 2 also, just for fun.
We'll just do it for 2. That way, because it's all about, brothers.
Yeah.
And it helps because everyone's going to be doing it together. So we're going to do 1.5 ounces Brothers Bond bourbon, which is the most important ingredient. So we'll do 2 of those.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
Then we're going to go 0.5 ounces of lemon juice. Now obviously,
this is doubled right here. We already pre-doubled it. So
we pre-doubled it.
I'm just you'd obviously measure in a jigger, but I'm going to go ahead and just pour it in because we pre-did it.
Now, obviously, you can use lemon juice from a can. It's fine. Fresh is always better. It only takes a second to do. 0.5 ounces honey syrup. We're going to do a full. I know it's
right here. We have it pre-measured as well.
So 2 of those. And now we're going to take this we're gonna put some ice. My hands are clean.
Get it, baby.
We're gonna put some ice in our shaker. Right? Yeah, give me a little more.
Extra.
Yeah, it's really cold. Now we're gonna just give it a little shake. Honestly, you only need about 5 seconds in this thing. 5 to 10.
5 good seconds.
5 good seconds.
Good shakes.
Yeah, they're a little hard to get off sometimes too. And then where's our strainer?
And then we top. Where is our
Here it is.
strainer?
We've
and
got
then we
also,
top-
by the way, also too, we created all these amazing, all this barware. Now we're gonna
We got to put ice.
we're gonna strain this now over fresh ice. And I recommend just tons of
Ice
ice.
is hard to.
Well, it's because I've been sitting for a second. I would say tons of ice, because they don't last. Like, this isn't like a cocktail you're gonna sit with for 20 minutes, right? So now we're gonna strain this over fresh ice. Half and half.
Half and half, baby. Don't cheat
Yeah,
me.
but I won't cheat you.
You know it's my favorite drink, bro.
I know, buddy. So we're gonna go half and half.
All right, that's good. That was a good
Now, we're gonna top with
ginger ale.
ginger ale, right? Top it off.
Get a little lemon wheel situation.
And people want to put the lemon, I prefer, we just throw it in
We
there.
throw it in. We do a little squeeze. We throw it in.
Little squeeze,
You know, boom.
dip that in there. You can, if you'd like to do a little
Little
stir.
I have a stir.
All of our Brothers Bond barware. By the way, this is what it's about, because this is fun and this is easy to do at home. You could build an entire, dinner party around.
How good was this? I mean, how easy?
It's so easy.
Easiest cocktail.
So to you,
Cheers.
Wine.com, thank you to
cheers.
everyone with us tonight. Thank you very much for being here. Cheers
Thank
to you.
you.
Try this.
So good.
Mm,
It's so
and it's
good.
so refreshing.
Isn't it amazing? It's so refreshing.
I love that you have a mason jar.
Well, I didn't have the mug. This is the closest thing. I
Yeah,
love
At
it.
home, that's what we use at home.
Yeah,
But
nothing tastes better than a mason jar.
you see that it's refreshing, it's fun, it's easy to do. And at a bar, it's great, but also too, retailers love it because it also builds the basket ring for their stores. Like, it's easy to do. And whether you have 5 people coming over or 50 people coming over for a pool party, you can do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what it's about, experience.
Yeah.
Cheers, Billy.
Experience. Cheers. So one thing everybody want to know, and you touched on this a little bit before, but real quick, because I want to get to 2 more things before you have to go. But the most rewarding thing about working together, doing something totally different than acting, has that been challenging or mostly rewarding?
Mostly rewarding.
Rewarding.
I mean,
We haven't had one, other than exhaustion.
yeah, no, but I
There's
mean,
nothing.
it's just a different look. When you're on a TV show, it's amazing, and you're so fortunate to be on a show, and you're fortunate to be working because this industry is so difficult. The entertainment industry is so cutthroat. But you're at the end of the day working on someone else's show. You know what I mean? You're given lines. You show up. You create your character, but at the end of the day, there are so many variables that you don't really have any say over. And this is, we created our own, this is it, and so there's, to watch it grow from nothing to having, a great Zoom with Wine.com. Like, this is like, we've been there and we've watched the whole thing, so we didn't just like get hired to do this. And so I think it's just a much different experience, and it's just so much more rewarding in many ways.
Yeah, because it's like,
We're like proud parents.
it's like being a parent. It is like being a parent,
It's your baby.
Oh,
Put that much effort into it.
Did you birth this baby?
Yes, I did.
But
You
he's
did
right.
mention exhaustion, which I think is a good example of parenthood too.
Excuse me, hold on. I have to breastfeed. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
We're live.
There's only 400 of our closest friends,
Yeah.
but it's true. There's
yeah.
something, a level of pride and respect, and
And also, he doesn't forget his lines.
that's true.
You know
I don't
what
have
I
to
mean?
sit there and watch you stutter.
Yeah,
I don't have to watch you
it's
stutter.
just we don't have to he's forgetting you remember all your lines now.
Right. And we don't have to
More
be in
like-
each other's faces all the time. Like, how many hours I've sat like this days after you ate broccoli and
onions.
Yeah.
Excellent acting, because you still have so many adoring fans for doing that. So,
So
another topic I wanted to touch on was your connection to Kiss the Ground and what is behind that mission and how this product is contributing to it.
Yeah, I mean, Paul and I, well, one of the biggest things, and you obviously, you all know this even as much as or even more than we do. People, no matter what demographic you're in, it's okay. Come on.
Sorry, my dog.
It's okay.
No matter what demographic you're in, the idea is like people want to know that the company, Craigie,
He's fine. At the end of the day, Ian and I are really environmentalists, and we're deeply concerned about doing things the right way. And you were going to say something like,
basically, consumers want to know that where they're spending their hard-earned money with, those companies are doing something good with that money. And Brothers Bond is
especially nowadays
no exception to that.
Yeah.
In fact, Brothers Bond is leading the charge on that. We were the first company to announce that we were using regenerative grain, and we were like, that's what we do. And so our give back component is to regenerative ag. We are, like we talk about publicly every day, we are an agricultural company: corn, wheat, barley, rye. And so what does that mean? People say, well, what is regenerative ag? Well, regenerative agriculture is the use of planned grazing methods and living growing plants at scale to sequester enormous amounts of carbon dioxide and store it safely back in the ground where it belongs. Now, when you do that, you are shooting that carbon into the ground. It creates this stuff called carbon glue, and it feeds all of the vital microorganisms in that soil. Healthier soil, healthier plant, healthier planet, healthier people. So what you're doing is revitalizing freshwater stores, building farmer prosperity, more profits for farmers, less inputs, more output. Yields are bigger, inputs are less. No one's ever going to argue with you about this. These are all good things.
Yeah.
More money for farmers, better schools, higher tax base, better air, better water, better food. It's not a polarizing or politicizing issue. And that's where we all win.
So when Ian executive produced a documentary called Kiss the Ground that you mentioned earlier, it's on Netflix. And when we started this company, he's the one that sort of said, look, we're an agricultural company, so we should really be focusing on this, because we really wanted to do something, not just be a company we wanted to be a company that also makes a positive change in the world. So he sort of brought this to us and really introduced me to it. And I said, well, of course we got to do this. So now we're, that's one of our sort of give backs and our mission.
That's our mission.
That is our mission. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, we know regenerative ag can slow climate change to a crawl. We know it scientifically. I mean, you could take every car off the road, every maritime shipping vessel out of the oceans, every plane out of the sky, shut down every coal-fired power plant in the world, and climate change would still happen at an alarming rate. People go, what are you talking about? Why? One word: agriculture. Mismanagement of land is the greatest carbon output in our world. And so when we start to bring that back down, there's three places you can put carbon, right? The air, which is full up, the oceans, which are full up, and the ground. So we can really not only change our climate, but change communities as a result of it. And that is big stuff, because when we talk about this stuff, when you mention climate change to someone, watch their body language. What happens? They shut down, because it's such an enormous thing to think about. None of us know, yeah, maybe I can turn off the lights, maybe I can eat less meat or drive an electric car, whatever that may be. Those are all big things, because there's 7 billion of us. When we all make small changes, we can make really big change globally. But the problem is that there's what we call the legacy load of carbon in the air. And the only way it's going to come down is by a process through, and you can read Paul Hawken's book about it, it's called drawdown, or biosequestration of carbon. And that's where we all win. And agriculture is the single way to do it. And that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not a giant train coming at us, but we've got to.
And when one purchases this bottle, something goes back to.
Yeah, so we're giving
Right.
back a portion of all of our sales, gross sales,
Right.
to Kiss the Ground for, and then our goal is to obviously one day, which we're not there yet, start our own regenerative agriculture distillery.
But also too, on if you look on the books, it's a percent of the entire company, but it's not just with that. It's also us as partners. It's our retailers, our families. Like, it goes way, 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 way beyond. We set the standard and the precedent to move forward, but partners and family, we all contribute. And as this grows and grows and grows, I think it's pretty cool to sit at a bar and have a drink and know this makes a difference.
Yeah.
To buy a bottle from a retailer, this makes a difference. To go online and go to Wine.com, this makes a difference. These are big swings, and like, we're proud of that,
Yeah, that's fantastic. And you're coming out with 2 new things. I know everybody was asking what's next. We talked about the cask strength.
Cask strength.
Is that the one that's in the hundreds?
Yeah, well, so the cask strength is literally it's barrel proof. It's like
unfiltered,
unfiltered, boom, into the bottle, and that's 100 between 160 and 117. And it's awesome.
It's a
limited release, but it's awesome. And then we have a rye that we've created. We're not sure when that's coming out, but that'll be next.
Probably fallish, but we're gonna rush it.
Yeah.
After that, it's unbelievable. And again, nuance, quality, uncompromising quality.
Yeah.
We spent a long time perfecting it. And probably first of the year will be our bottled and bond 100
proof Brothers Bond, bottled and bond.
The 100 proof version of this. Say that 5 times. The 100 proof version of this is incredibly special. It's very rare that you can actually just drink 100 proof spirits.
Yeah, no,
this one you can, but you put that on a big rock and you're in heaven.
I'll give you a big rock.
Yeah, buddy.
Get married.
All right, so that's what's coming down the pipeline for this amazing product. What about for you guys, for what's coming down the pipeline from a screen perspective? Any news?
This guy is on a huge show right now, playing.
Well, it hasn't come out yet.
Yeah, but you're playing a hugely iconic character.
Yeah, I've taken on the role of Captain Kirk, which is the first actor to play Captain Kirk on television since Captain Kirk, since William Shatner. So no pressure.
Shatner, never heard
no pressure. No pressure.
Yeah. So no, it's been I've already shot some, and it's been fantastic.
Maybe he should drink bourbon.
Oh my God! Space bourbon.
Drinks.
Can they get bourbon in space?
Wait, I thought you were talking about Shatner.
No.
Of course they can drink. People, yes, they drink a ton in space. It's like, there's a lot of drinking. Okay, believe me.
How did they get through it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's congratulations. Hopefully, you will bring in a whole new generation of Trekkies.
Yeah, he's crushing it, man.
To follow on. That's great. Well, this has been so much fun. I thank you for those of you joining us at home. Also, if you don't have the bourbon, again, you can find it in select states from Wine.com, or check out the Brothers Bond website, which I'm going to be doing because I want one of those T-shirts.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Gwendolyn.
Yeah, but yeah, they have a lot more details on that. But Ian and Paul, really a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your time and your story.
Pleasure is all ours. Thank you.
Making such a delicious bourbon, and
thank you.
So I'm looking forward to seeing all the things that come next. So
thank you. We appreciate your guys' support, and
it's really
we're very, very grateful. And thanks for taking the time to listen to us talk about ourselves for 45 minutes.
But this partnership means the world, because it is such you all are such a massive North Star in this space. And one thing we forgot to talk about that's coming later on down the line, and this will be, I can guarantee you, a favorite, is our 8-year.
Oh yeah.
Which is 1 year in a barrel for every year we were on air together.
8 seasons.
8 summers in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. It's incredible what humidity and heat and 8 years can do.
Yeah.
It's very special. But these are, we're just going to go and go and go and go. And we leave no stone unturned. And thank you. Thank you, Wine.com. Thank you, Gwendolyn. Thank you, team.
Cheers to you guys.
Cheers to all of you with us tonight. I hope you enjoy the Mystic Trauma.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, that's awesome.
Let's see. We might.
It's both a science and a form of high art. It's made from the combination of grapes, sunlight, rain, soil, and time. It's raised up in the moments that matter. It's wine. And we are Wine.com. We have the largest wine selection in the world, online sommeliers with free advice, and now our powerful new app puts the entire world of wine in your hands. Wine.com. Seriously passionate about wine. Download our free app today.